We are loaded in to the game, which is awesome. I
Oh,
think maybe from that switch round I did before.
that might not be.
Is that the NDI coming in off of?
This is a little bit.
Oh, hang on. Do we need to go to? Wait, that's the casting scene.
That is the
right?
casting scene. We need to change the casting scene just a little bit.
Okay, it was Control F is the hotkey to maximize the size of that. Should work.
Is it SC2?
How did we do this? Did we run? Is there a scale filter on it?
Okay,
Oh,
there we go. Do we
We
want to get
fixed
rid of the cam? Good to know that Control F does that. I learned something today.
Also put the sound on.
OBS.
Put the sound
OBS
up?
hotkeys.
Sound music.
Oh, I did. It's already Control S, Control M.
Oh, okay. I didn't see going.
Yeah. It's just. Do you want me to crank it back up to max?
No.
Oh, not to max. That's probably fine.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want us to
Grew up with the save.
keep the camera on or no? Okay. Cool.
It's always been there.
All right.
Cool.
So now
It's
we just do
always
this.
been there.
Wait. We should be following the camera.
From the first time I sat on this couch to the last time there was a camera there.
We're following Indy, right? Oh, he hasn't moved the camera at all.
Well,
Huh.
here's the thing. So that's the reason. If we hide the camera, then everybody will see we're following Indy, and they won't yell at us for the interview. So that's if we really want to just throw
Oh, there
everybody
we
under
go.
the bus.
Oh, he was AFK. That becomes clear now. So we got spawning down in the bottom left. It is a normal man. It's epic.
Beautiful, looking good, feeling fresh. This guy's pink going today.
I don't think he was. He was definitely AFK at first 2 minutes, which works for us.
Yeah. Well, we had to do the please don't have both people use the blue color yesterday, and we've got the pink versus red. We know you guys love that, but it is Terran versus Zerg, so it'll be easier to tell. And I guess because the Reaper's here by the time the player introductions start, I'm just gonna say here on the top right is Cham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wasn't pretty. We got the job done.
Nice job there. Gets 2 kills. Oh, that grenade was slick. Oh, that was such a trapped Reaper, but a perfect grenade gets him out. Oh, that was a great little start right there for Epic. I mean, you don't want to overhype the first Reaper too much, but killing 2 Lings and escaping basically certain death, that's a nice little mental edge going into a best of 7 for sure.
It's like because it's an endurance test too.
Yeah.
Like you could bomb 2 games and you still got the potentially right. You still lose another one before you're even on match point. So the whole point of the best of 7 is you kind of dilute the strategy a little bit more, and you're like, well, they should each have opportunities to do all the things that they want to do. Right.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, we only play on these 2 maps. So that's the best of 3s can be really volatile for that reason. So I think you're exactly right. Establish the tempo early on, and maybe wear him out. But Cham, over the years, he's somebody that I think kind of shows a bit of that range. Like he can also get aggressive with it, but I think we're kind of seeing with Epic going for the Banshee with the Hellions, he's gonna have most of his bases covered for anything that he would see early on.
Yeah, I've always found Cham to be a player that really excels at what he does. He doesn't necessarily play every style the way someone like a Cyril might, or someone like, well, I think Cyril at this point probably is the best example. Dark is willing to play any style, but Cham will kind of stick to his guns a little bit more. But as long as he gets to decide how the game is going to be played a little bit, he's very comfortable in that state, whether that be, going up to 85 drones, mutilating Bane, or playing like a 66 drone Roach 1-1 style. He's very comfortable, and he does play to his strengths, which is cool to see, and not all that common with Zerg in particular in terms of players. I feel like a lot play reactively, but Cham is a little bit more forward in how he approaches the game. Cloakless Banshee, by the way. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's like the insurance policy build for Terran. You don't really expect to get too much done without being able to swoop around the Spore Crawler, but you have the option if that base is taken out early, you can kind of pressure that. You can still get a drone or 2 while the Queens get into position here, but I think most importantly, if you want to keep this alive because this helps you with taking the third base later down the line, or if any kind of attack was coming, if there was a roach timing or something. But I guess that kind of goes back to the Reaper and the Hellion pressure, is he's been in Cham's face most of the start of the game, so it doesn't seem like there's been much room to maybe get away with hiding anything. So from Cham, it kind of just feels like fairly straightforward going into his fourth, getting his lair, and we're going to see where he goes with that now. Bane speed, not a surprise. Spire though could get fun, could get exciting.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was talking about. Cham likes what he likes, and Mutilating Bane is one of those plays that he's a big fan of. I will say, Epic, he is a player that is a huge fan of the 8 racks play, and that doesn't mean we'll necessarily see it, but if we don't see it on Alcyone, I mean, it's a really good map for an 8 racks play. We have seen Epic kind of just, holding this watchtower, trying to keep the creep at bay. The big strength of these 8 racks plays.
Right there.
Yeah, it's
He's been loving that though, and that's the kind of player he is too, right? He's a little bit less on the technical side, not the guy to rush the battle cruiser, if you ask me. But okay, one of the advantages getting nabbed, but yeah, very heavy macro focus, and going up to that 8 racks, he's gonna have a lot of units. So I guess maybe we question, how many mutas is he going to make when the Spire finishes? Does he sniff this out? Because I feel like there's got to be a balance there on the gas, right, for making banelings to deal with the push.
Well, and it's like playing mutas at all into an 8 racks is so difficult to do. Just because it is such a huge investment of that gas, means less lings, less banes. You're just not going to be producing as many units that are good in a straight up fight. It's a very simple concept, to be honest. In the fact that it's just not that great for you. And Epic, you can see he is going to be starting to get aggressive with just the first couple of medevacs. His combat shields, I think, was just a tiny bit late, so he's not going to have that shields right away. And there is actually a big potential for Cham to show up with the mutas, lings, and banes, kind of swash this first push and take a pretty big tempo advantage. But it's going to be up to Epic to basically just not overextend with this little push out.
Yeah, that's the patience that's necessary, right? And it's actually, guys, we can kind of maybe complement this. He has the creep at least out to this point that he's going to take a scan or two. That's going to give him a little bit of time. He's not just showing right up on the front door. But you just have those kind of 2 ramps, unless he goes all the way around the outside. But I guess that's the tough part, because this push isn't really meant to stop at any point from Epic, right? Because it's again at the 8 racks play. So there's no missile turrets though. The mutas. This is we talk about maybe you don't have as many banelings, but this is what you want from the mutas to try and buy time, bring the army back, force some big stims. But again, that time becomes very, very valuable here.
It does, yeah, and that is something to consider as well, as only a couple SCVs go down. He did pick off a fair number of Marines. It's not the huge moment I was looking for that Epic could have fallen victim to, but this did still get a lot done and force some pretty big stims. 3 mutas do go down though. That's not cheap. But will Cham be able to find the engagement he's looking for to prevent this army from getting into a good spot, or will Epic be able to overwhelm this Mutilating Bane play?
Yeah, this position, right? You've got just these two chokes. I kind of like the way he's been watching the left line of sight blocker in case anything does try to flank. But that angle just gets so wide. The 1-1 is about to finish as well. He would like to wait, right? These couple of seconds as much as he can, Cham, before engaging on this, especially since that 2-2 is just far enough away. You shouldn't have to worry about that. And he's going to come on down. Ling's trying to go through, but that Baneling count, not super crazy. Marines spread very well off of creep steadfast. And again, a few of those tanks are popped, but once all the Banelings are dead, if there's this many Marines left over, they'll wash through everything. Another wave does come down from the natural, splitting at the last second. Actually just get a pretty good few detonations. But remember, this is a parade push. He's continuing to stream units across the map the whole way.
Oh, that was such a great play from Cham right there. Epic thought he had a big opportunity, and I honestly did too, but Cham morphed a couple of safety Banelings even while he was engaging, and it was that moment where you're like, okay, I wiped out all the Banes. Terran can stim forward, run forward. Obviously, if he knows what we know, which honestly I didn't even realize because it was off screen. I wasn't paying that super close attention to the production tab. But if he has that perfect information. He waits for a 2-2. He waits a little bit, but he thinks he has that opportunity, kind of gets squashed, and now he is very much on the back foot.
Yeah, Cham waited for his moment really well there.
Perfect time to engage.
Yeah, you talk about patience. That's what it's all about. There's still not the creep here, but at this point, there's not enough units left over to defend against this, so siege tanks are going to get popped. The medevacs can shuffle some of the Marines out, but at least that pressure ends for now. And the other thing we always talk about is, well, how many missile turrets do you really want to have to build in this position?
Yeah.
Well, that harass is unlikely to stop. Every second, every minute that Cham can buy, shutting this down or pressuring him is huge. It felt a little bit dicey, but like you said, that the timing on the upgrades, Epic thinking he could push up that ramp right as it finished for him, like it was the ideal position for Cham.
Yeah, and even that last engagement wiped out pretty much every tank. Obviously, this tank just popped out, so it's still going to be relevant. Cham held off on getting 2-2 for a long time, and that gave him just a little bit of extra oomph. And that's probably the kind of thing that let him afford those extra banelings that prevented Epic from, after taking one good fight, just basically ending the game. And it was that overcommittal. Oh, nice little find here. Good reaction time from Cham. Keeps that from becoming a disaster. But I mean, at this point, Epic is he's really going to need not quite a miracle, but a really, really good fight to somehow turn this game around.
Yeah, his strategy, the way that he's playing this out. Again, we don't even have the add-ons on those extra racks from all the muta harass. He's still just trying to squeeze out every unit that he can get. But this isn't something that you really stop and pivot from typically. I mean, I guess he could if he trades well enough, but he wants to go out and do game-ending damage. So Cham slowing him down has become a bit of a problem. But that upgrade advantage is the only thing he really had going for him. He's going to fight off creep on the outside. Good amount of the Banes hit the tank in the northeast. A lot of the Marines still remain. The east side does get cleaned up. Looks like maybe about 15, 20 of the Marines are going to be able to push this back. I'm seeing about 4 or 5 banelings left there, 48 lings being made to follow it up. And we should expect to continue to see him push. I think really the toughest part about this for Cham is that it's just hard to get the creep spread outside of that base again, and you really want to have that staging ground for the engage as much as possible.
Yeah, and Epic, I think that was a once bitten, twice shy situation because, it felt like after that maybe he could have kept pushing forward and just kind of gone straight on to creep, but obviously that backfired super hard for him in that first big engagement, and you can see that even little adjustments can be made in a game and kind of change up your play style, your strategy. There is going to be a timing where 2-2 will finish for the Zerg before the 3-3 kicks in for Epic. And that's not quite now, but we do have that +2 Carapace. Siege Tank trying to shoot those Banelings, but you could see it was kind of waffling on where to shoot. Now the Banelings, they're going to close in on a lot of these Marines. Good spread from Epic. That was fantastic.
He's trying to play
around the tower.
Trying to play some mass Marine style. We're talking about this. It's a Marine tank, sure, but what it is, it's 8 racks. He's taking one tank at a time, and they're not pivotal in this. We're not seeing those big tank shots taking out all of the Banelings because he's got this huge spread now. He's just throwing things. They're throwing haymakers at each other more or less. And this is a nice opportunity for Cham to come here, slow down this gold base. SCV will be able to finish it, but the turret is gone. So he's gonna shoot down the rocks and run on over. So I would have lifted the command center and just let the mutas kill it.
That's right? Yeah. I would have been like, no, I have to go all the way around. And he's like,
oh, no, rocks.
I have 3 Marines, and that's 400 HP. This will die in 2 seconds. And I'm like, no, how do I get through?
I just saw in a competitive StarCraft match with thousands of dollars on the line for this tournament, I just saw a Terran player stim to kill rocks. All right. Saying,
and it was the right choice.
It was the right move.
Yeah.
It was the right move. You won't hear that many times in your life, I promise.
This is probably Epic's last big chance here. We are going to see Cham going for the fight. Not a lot of tanks, and there's just so many Lings and Banes. The 3-3 is nice, but it's not going to make up for the size of the army difference. Cham, he's in here. He's got that gold base under siege, and I think we are going to be seeing GG any moment. Epic made a lot of moves to try and wiggle his way out after that first big engagement went against him, but Cham just did not let him back into it.
I felt like the tempo in the early game, we were talking about this pressure he was putting on, shutting down the Ling, staying in his face, had the Banshees come in to harass, and it felt like everything was kind of lined up for Epic to just drive the knife in with this big 8 racks. That scary timing. 11 mutas, didn't quite go over any number that he wouldn't have been able to get the Banes, but there were a lot of moments where it could have gone wrong. I think you mentioning if he hits before the 1-1 is done for Cham. I think that's one scenario, but the fact that he was able to get that fight on even upgrades was just so huge. And yeah, just nice play by Cham, because it looked like Epic wanted to take the control to start this best of 7 off, but Cham is showing us that he is here to party.
Yeah, and Mutiling Bane, traditionally speaking, it is not the most comfortable thing to go up against an 8 racks play when you're playing with those mutas, but like that's going to be something that Epic will probably be thinking about right now, like, oh man, because, we joke about casting like pro gamers, but they do think in terms of build orders and build order counters. They're like, oh, I had the build order counter. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works. There's so many moving parts to it. And Cham really recognized the one big moment of weakness, which was right after that big engagement. And I know I'm harping on it so much, but morphing those extra Banes is such a big brain play.
Yeah. It is. I feel like for TVZ, when it's Zerglings and Banelings and Mutas versus Marines, which like, I guess Hydras and Lurkers have been a much bigger part of that conversation the last few years, but it used to just always be Ling, Bane, Muta versus Marines, and the rule of thumb is if the fight is over and there's any Marines and no Banes, Terran is probably about to win the game. Unless there's like no medevacs and they're all overstimmed. But if the Banes are dead and the Marines are not, you're just super toast. So those last few hits right as he went up the ramp, I can't agree more. That was because he actually still probably could have won the game if those few Banes hadn't hit either. But we getting our little overlay set up over here, following our teammates' cameras, and we are in to game 2. There could theoretically, there literally could be 5 more games after this, I guess now.
Yeah. Plus this one, of course. Yeah. This will be a best of 7. And post-youth, this has become kind of the Zerg pick in this map pool. There are obviously some good engagement spots for tanks, for Widowmines, but I think with how far out the third base is, all the counterattack paths on this map, and, this mutas have not been in the meta, but this is a pretty damn good map for mutas relative to many of the other ones because there's so much dead airspace on the left side, some dead airspace on the right, kind of south of that main base. It can be tricky to deal with for Terran if you can get up to that, but I don't know if we'll see Cham go for that once again.
I think
it's gonna be interesting to see.
I feel like people watching, like I don't know about you, but if I was tuning into this, like from my home, I'm having a coffee, it's chill Sunday, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this, wait for someone to get drunk and say something stupid. I would like to see mutas, right? Like the people like it. Players have been pretty forthcoming about doing some fun shenanigans for us. For example, Epic is literally playing under a pseudonym of Normalman.
Yeah.
We've got our second semifinal will be Pinhead versus Binhead, assuming they don't go back onto their other ones. So it's been a good time, but also some high-level StarCraft, and we appreciate that fun from our opponents. I like that you're talking about the pluses for Zerg on this map, and that's my favorite thing about this map is it gives like kind of both sides a bit of what they want too. Because for the Terran player, you're like, well, in some matchups, the things that can get in your face, like trying to take your natural, can just be super annoying, whether you're getting hit with some weird like proxy second gateway stuff from Protoss, or if you want to go command center first blindly versus Zerg, right? Like you can kind of take those little cheats on, for each faction kind of has a different way to use it a little bit, it feels like, and that's nice. And obviously, if he doesn't go mutas, that airspace you're talking about becomes pretty good for drops and eventually liberators, etc.
Yeah. That is very true as well. It's all in how you play it out, and that's pretty neat. Dark recently actually played a game versus Beyond that went like 45 minutes, and I think he went double Spire after it kind of went to a bit of a stalemate situation, like that, not a lot of progress going from either side, and he like transitioned into Mass Muta versus Beyond, and it ended up being a 45-minute game that went to a draw, and they replayed it on this map. It was crazy. One of the better games I've cast in a while, but I don't think we're gonna see that. But it was really cool to see that like weird exploration where it's like, oh, we haven't seen someone play a transition into mutas.
Like my thought process on any time we get a map that's like different or odd, like my question is like, does the entire map specifically just revolve around this mechanic, right? That it's kind of experimenting with, and it doesn't exactly feel like that. It gives you, there are a lot of options for openings, but what you said about the distance to the third base, if your opponent goes for a strategy that gives them map control and you try to take your third a little bit later because you do have a greedy fast natural, it can actually be pretty tough to actually get down into that space because it is a little bit open. So being the proactive player is still something you could take advantage of. So it's nice that it adds options, but it doesn't take too much away. It's not like I don't know, like when I think about the random missile turrets we had in the middle of the airspace on that one map.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Oh,
quite.
yeah.
Sometimes when they're like, oh, we're going to let you do something fun with a map. And they're like, whoa, now it's like, oh, I'm going to let you use seasoning. Well, I'm going to dump the whole thing on the map.
You're like,
you guys
we didn't
want
need to
salt.
do this.
You said I could put salt on my I'm just going to just pour the whole thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
no,
unscrew the
guys,
cap and dump it on.
You can do too much, so.
You can overcook.
Yeah. Next season, we just want to make sure we don't. You know, the worst direction would be then you start with 3 bases in your main. We just switch to 3v3 competitive maps, and that becomes the 1v1 pool. So we don't want to go that far.
Cheeky Dusk Towers. That was a map. That was a map that.
I was just looking through my map report, and you know, I had a crisp 71% on that bad boy.
Did you really?
No, pre-nerf liberators.
Oh, true. Oh my God.
Pre-nerf ghosts. Oh my.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Back when you couldn't cancel snipe. Yeah. Well, that was a fun game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not very fair, but I like the sound effect.
Oh, that was the time. I do think Cham is going to go straight to mutas. He did get a little bit supply blocked at 36. So his build order, his benchmarks are a little bit behind, but he's gone straight up to 6 gases. No Baneling Nest, no nada. Whereas Epic, he once again, I think, is going for this Cloakless Banshee off of the 3cc. So a very similar setup, but I think Cham this time going even quicker into the mutas. And this is going to be really intriguing because the setup does feel a little bit less ideal for Cham. Not massively, but obviously any mistake in the early game.
Just like a map size thing, you think? Like rush distance wise to the furthermost base, or like, because it feels like the setups are super similar. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But is it just, I guess the high ground angle on this gold, right, is going to make it a lot harder to defend than having the ramps up into the third.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, there it is. Epic is going into the 8 racks play.
I just like,
it just feels the same, with the cloakless.
It does. Yeah. I was gonna say, it feels like they're trying to kind of just do the same thing we saw last game. So I have no complaints about that. Maybe we get it a little bit further. I'm okay. We are in game 2 of a best of 7. So
yes,
it doesn't. I guess it doesn't need to be dragged out yet, but.
Yeah,
if Cyril was playing, then we would be like, oh, I hope this game goes really long, because obviously there's no chance that nobody's beating him. It's gonna be 4 games. That's it. That's all you're getting.
Yeah, just do your best. Unless Oliveira shows up and normalman takes off his mask and it actually is Oliveira, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Exactly.
For the first time in esports history.
He's got that Spider-Man backstory. He's like, you were supposed to take Maru to 7 games. You beat him in 4. He's like, how is that my problem?
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be, I think this should just be a denial on the gold because there's no Bane speed. He is morphing in a couple Banes, but he just started the mutas. I think this gold just goes down. He's going to try and defend it, but without Bane speed, this will be tough.
Yeah, not having the 2 ramps angled on the outside definitely changes the attack angle for Cham. But is this like Epic just showing respect, do you think? That he's like, well, last time this is exactly where I botched it, and I don't have the tanks with me, so...
Maybe, yeah. And also the lack of combat shields for about the 20 seconds there that he was on the map. He might have been thinking, like, yeah. And I see you morphed some Banes. Bane speed could be finishing any moment.
Evos, right?
No Evos.
No Evos.
No Evos.
2-2 is starting.
Yeah,
so,
that's a...
So there's a timer on this kind of now.
Yeah. If Cham doesn't take an engagement, a really good engagement, which he is setting up for. He's got a nice little flank set up on the top side. Siege tanks not yet sieged up. This could be the moment for Cham. Mutas will snipe at least one of those tanks. This does look like a very good spread on the bio, though. That was a great little fight from Epic.
Now, talk about where this engagement happens on this map versus where it happens
Yeah.
on Alcyon. It's night and day. He had I mean, we already talked about it, but talk about trying to get the creep spread outside the base. You're certainly not doing it on this map, and he's retained the Banshees. He's been able to keep up this crazy amount of supply. And was he making 8 Banelings? Is that all he has?
That might be it.
Be stretching it a little.
He's got 5 on the map, but
Okay.
I mean, Epic right now, like he's strong, and he's going to get so much stronger when 2-2 kicks in. We will see the Mutas and Lings picking off reinforcements. That's where the 8 racks can really struggle, is keeping that reinforcement path well set up. And this is a great find
Nice
for
dodge.
Cham.
Gets the tank, very nice. Disrupts the economy on the 3rd, delays the marine reinforcements, but don't know what happened with all the Banelings on the bottom side quite yet, because that base getting destroyed is going to be a thorn in his side. 3 base Zerg versus 3 base Terran, even with a few dead SCVs, is not really enough to turn the economy. He's got those mules, so unless he takes everything out here and floods on top of the production, it's still going to be a little bit tricky. That being said, He's I don't know. He's taken up residence in Epic space for quite a while.
Yeah.
He delayed a lot of the reinforcements for a huge amount of time, but
Here
was
comes
it
that
enough with the 2-2?
Yeah.
I just feel like the
Yeah.
2-2 is the nail in the coffin.
It's going to be an insane.
Unupgraded Lings versus 2-2
Yeah.
Marines. How can you possibly? Yeah. No. That's,
Yeah, 0-0 Ling Bane, 0-0 Mutas. Like, I just had to make sure, like, I wasn't, going crazy.
We're not paid
'cause-
by commission, guys. We don't have to lie to you.
No, this is going to be... These Marines are going to look so jacked relative to the Zerg army.
Absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like megalodons among regular sharks.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Beautiful to watch. Majestic, even.
Now, as I say that, that's a really nice little setup
Well, avoid
for...
the head-to-head fight. That's a good move.
Yeah, the problem is, can he actually do enough? Oh, that's a cute little move trying to drop the tank. Even picks it up again. That was so slick.
Okay. Well, Epic making some good moves, and I mean, that's, at this point, it's very
I think
nice.
the Marines almost win this fight.
I think he's at that point, exactly. As long as he has any of the Marines actually fight this, he's totally fine. And meanwhile, Cham's entire plan is like, just to be clear, guys, it's not like he started Evolution Chambers and is trying to catch up during this. He's kind of accepted the reality of his situation. He just needs Epic to overextend. That's what has to happen here.
And I just don't see it happening realistically. At this point, I think the only way he could do it was with Burrowed Banes. Just because you're just not going to get enough units off the economy Cham has to actually get close enough for the Marines for the Banelings to detonate. And he doesn't have an outburrow. And we've even got 3-3 on the way. Once again, the counterattack, super nice from Cham. But we're going to keep talking about it because it doesn't happen. 2-2 versus 0-0 makes the fights so silly. They're
Makes
comical.
The fights comical. Yeah. No, that's... Yeah, exactly. It's we got a bunch of Captain Americas over here.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
He's like, you shouldn't have 15 of them.
We've
Like,
got a bunch of Captain Americas.
There's no crossover with enough airtime for us to get 15 of them through here. Right? Yeah. No, it's
versus a bunch of pre-serum Steve Rogers.
yeah. Well, unupgraded Zerglings. Do we want to? Well, yeah. It's not a good time.
No.
Not a good time. So he comes over. He gets the pressure on the 3rd base again. But it's like Silent Hill when you hear that bell in the distance before everything gets all rusty. The 3-3 is halfway done. So just saying, if for Cham, that's exactly. It's like the galvanized steel beams. He's like, these are all of a sudden looking a little red on the sides here. I'm feeling some bad voodoo.
Cham takes about the best engagement he could ever find, and he actually did get some good Baneling detonations. He actually broke the momentum of this push, which is insane, but...
He has done so much with very little.
Yeah, he's rowing the boat with a rope at this point. Like, he is...
he's actually got his hands in the...
Yeah.
It's working. He's somehow moving, but 3-3 is almost done.
Yeah.
So it's like...
And it's now 3 base to 2 as well.
It has been an entertaining game, though. I'll say that much.
I am so thoroughly impressed with what Cham has done.
Do you think that he's like, if I send the drones here, he'll think I have a base up there, and that's how I get the bio to move away? Like, we're seeing. He's like, oh my god, does he have a corner base? Is that why he's still here fighting, even though the natural and the 3rd are gone, or the 3rd and the 4th are gone?
Yeah, like at this point, you do have to be wondering, as Epic, like what is happening in this game? How is he still alive in even a theoretical sense. And this is going to be another great little counterattack
That's the
from
appropriate
Cham.
thing to do, though, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, imagine if there actually was a ninja base and he lost the game because he just didn't know that like the bottom right was he's just been mining it the whole time. I guess.
God,
That would
3-3
be-
versus 0-0.
This never happens.
It never happens.
Why does this happen in his games and not in mine?
Not in
That's
mine.
why does nobody forget to make upgrades against me? What is this?
Oh my God. It's
Not forget. Obviously,
Yeah,
the plan
it was a choice.
I want to have more mutas and banelings. He wanted to have more mutas and banelings. If you don't get any evos at all, that's typically a decision around. I guess is that one of the accepted responses to that 8 racks is okay. We'll just forgo the upgrades, swarm them, overwhelm them, and counter, or no,
I mean, it can work if you.
You don't have
because,
to sugarcoat for me if you don't want.
No,
It's okay.
I don't think it is. I think it's fine to do it the way Cham did it and be like, okay, once I get that really big crush engagement, get the evos in the 1-1.
Yeah.
But playing that on a long-term basis, it just won't work.
Yeah,
And Cham did just about everything in terms of the engagements as well as he possibly
his engagements
could.
are great.
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
board.
But like you're literally fighting with one arm against a guy that's doing steroids. Like
I'm shocked that game went as long as it did.
Me too.
I really am. And Cham, you can see there. That's where I guess you talk about like the way that the strategies line up against each other without having the upgrades. As great as all those engagements were, it just doesn't end up mattering once 5 Marines can stop 10 mutas at your third. It's just because they're
Yeah. And it's impressive that Cham was even able to find the scenarios where his mutas and lings were able to be just enough to overwhelm the 2-2 Marines like multiple times. Like it felt super calculated. And there is a scenario where basically the exact same game happens. Epic is distracted by like the, I don't know, 7th counterattack that is coming on his third base. And then those Banes that Cham is holding in reserve actually do find all the Marines super clumped up. And then every medevac dies. And then, which was pretty close to what happened. But I think, I don't know, 8 medevacs got out or something.
What's interesting when you bring that up is I go back to game 1 and I kind of remember that he did get him to drag a huge portion of his army home. And even in that second game, he did a really good job of getting into the way of the reinforcements and disrupting that. And I guess where I'm going with this is, yeah, do a strategy that doesn't like be more mindful of that timer, because as weird as it might sound, he's already shown he can do a lot with a little, right?
Yeah.
So why do the strategy where you have a little bit more when the upgrades are kind of what cost him? Because I feel like for a few of those fights, if he goes into it with 2-2 against 3-3 there, whether it is ever possible for him to afford that and defend the earlier pushes, we can only get into hypotheticals, but like it really seems like there was a chance when he was on the production. His forces lasted way longer there too than I expected.
Yeah, and if that doesn't get cleaned up, and he was very close to actually full camping the production too.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get cleaned up there, and all of a sudden Epic has kind of been moving back and forth on the map, not sure how much he needs to bring back home. A couple decisions go just a little bit differently. Epic really commits to holding the front, and then the reinforcements out of the barracks aren't quite enough to clear out those lings and mutas. All of a sudden, we could find a scenario where it's like, yeah, there's no reinforcements coming across the map. Maybe it eventually gets cleaned up, but there's like 20 SCVs left over versus a 60 drone Zerg economy. And it is a different scenario. And even though the 2-2 versus 0-0 is there, Epic never actually is able to find that decisive nail in the coffin.
Yeah, even in that first game, come to mention it, it's not like Cham didn't still manage to buy himself a decent amount of time and put a lot of pressure onto the thirds, getting the thirds lifted up in those spots. It's a good close match, I guess is what we're trying to say. It's 1-1. So I think the numbers agree with us. I don't even think we need to crunch the numbers this time. It's literally as even as it could be for us only having played 2 games so far.
Yeah, and Cham is doing he's doing the things you need to do with mutas to make them strong, which is, finding engagements where the Terran is sending, 5 Marines, 9 Marines, 12 Marines across the map without medevacs, or finding a tank. And we got to point it out as well. Epic was fantastic with his tank saves when the mutas were that was so fancy.
He could. It feels insane to say, but it felt like he could have thrown it. But he's been he's been pretty on point. So.
Yeah, just really high level play from both players. Nice little drone pick off here in game number 3. Reaper finding varying levels of success, but probably the best start actually killing a drone, and that's going to be
good.
That's a good
start.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the benchmarks always kind of move where it was like, oh, you expect, like when they first put the Reaper out with the grenade and it had the full damage, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you expect that you're going to lose maybe a drone. As long as you
Yeah.
don't lose more than that, then it's fine. And then eventually people got better at defending it. Beyond got the Reaper nerfed, but like people are still, you still see enough of it that pressure is worth it for people that they go for it, like every game. You want to be in front of your opponent's base and see what they're doing. But anytime you get that drone with this guy, yeah, especially these days, it's a big win.
My favorite is actually not in this matchup, but in TVP is when Proxy Rax Reaper was first a thing. Oh, great grenade, but should still be able to save that. Yeah, good job. When Proxy Rax Reaper was still a thing in TVP, I remember players being like, okay, well, like, as long as I don't lose more than 4 probes, I'm fine. And I'm like, now, like, if you lose 4 probes, you're like, well, I guess we just go next game. Like,
yeah. You tune into somebody's stream, it's just like, okay. It's like, oh, 2 probes, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Again, just like, oh.
Now Terrans are like, I got 2 probes. Like, nice.
And that was before, like, the map makers had all kind of been like, look, guys, let's limit the amount of pain here. You'll notice it now, but everything is very well marked. We've got the yellow paint in our map design now, so it's a lot more clear to see where you can and can't go, how to block that stuff. But some of the early maps were absolutely brutal for that, and it kind of even going even further back to that. I think about you give me flashbacks of Thermal just doing it nonstop. That IEM Shanghai is something that's burned into my mind forever. Just so many proxy Reapers.
Yeah. Euthermal's a fun player to watch. He is a creative man. We talk about TLO as being Mr. Creative, but I think Euthermal really does have. He's got the market cornered on that one at this point, in my opinion.
It looks like we've got a fairly similar setup opening wise. The Cloakless Banshee into the stim, double engineering base, straight to lair. No evos yet, unless I missed it. But
yeah, this is looking almost picture perfect identical to the previous game, except this time Cham's drone count at the 5-minute mark is quite a bit higher because he didn't get that supply block at 36 that really slowed him down. But here's the first deviation, and this is what I was talking about. Roaches. We're going to be seeing roaches here most likely at a Cham, and I mean on Crimson Court, this is a very good roach map because it is so much worse for trying to find pickoffs with Lings and Banes.
You don't have those counterattack
exactly.
Tags. We just got to see those Lings nibbling away on the rocks, but that's the thing though, right? You don't have the upgrades early on. Your Lings are going to take forever to chew through that. So you're either investing more resources to do it faster, which is kind of insane for destroying rocks, or you just can't really do the counterattack run by stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a good time, and that was kind of the lifeblood of Cham in those first 2 games was with the Mutilating Bane was the counterattack potential. We do see those Cloakless Banshees trying to get the cancel on the 4th base, but it was a little too far along, a little bit too much HP, and so the Queen's able to get back in position. But this is going to be uncomfortable, and it looks like epic. There it is. All roads lead to that 8 racks as 3 more Perics get dropped down once again. But roaches are a very different thing to try and break through with that 8 racks play, and it's going to be a lot more difficult. Cham, though, he's not going for the 1-1 roach into like an all-in. He is pumping out a ton of extra drones and that infestation pit, and yeah, that's a very, very fast hive.
So directly into the hive, and we have the Hydralisk Den start up too. So I mean, I guess that means lurkers are on the menu since it is going to be a bio setup, right? He's going to maybe be doing that for Splash at some point, or Ultra. I don't know. It's bizarre. Is there a Baneling nest? There's no link speed, right? So is he Roach Hydra? Is that? No, right? No.
Roach Ravager into Hydra Lurker Viper probably. Yeah. That is a lot of drones that Cham has been building. He has gone up to over 85 drones off of against an 8 racks. Like, this is insane. Now this is the okay. Epic is playing exactly like Oliveira did at Dallas, basically, which is when you see the Roach Ravager, you add on the extra tech labs off of that.
There you go. He cancels the Marines, building on them specifically to get those Marauders coming out, and that's the flexibility of that build. Is you still have the original 5 racks Marine production. You don't miss out on any of that, but you absolutely get to obliterate those roaches in the straight up fights.
Yeah. I do like the corrosive bile attempt there in case Epic wasn't paying attention, but he was, and he's able to dodge those out easily. Creep spread has been kind of clipped back here a little bit, but it's still looking pretty nice to defend most of these bases. Now, this 8 racks timing, if you get up to Lurkers as the Zerg, it is going to be extremely difficult to break through because you're only on single factory siege tank production. That just makes things really difficult. Not to mention the Vipers being able to abduct those tanks. Like there's a lot of timings right here that once they get out for Cham,
there's so many things happening right now, and it's a really cool play by Cham because we've seen him go for like the en masse units, and now he's got a very, very varied composition and setup. But it's more or less, can he get the last finishing touches on this before this push kills him? Because this is a crazy amount of bio.
And we are going to see those Lurkers burrowing on up. Cham doesn't have enough front line to protect them, but the Lurker spines absolutely popped off there. Still going to see a bit of a breakthrough, and I think this is actually still just going to work out for Epic here. Cham, not enough frontline units, and I think it comes down to the fact that he overdroned.
Yeah, it's tough. You can see where he's going, right? If he has the range for the Lurkers, if he's able to buy himself even a minute more here, then you stall it out to where the Vipers have full energy. The Lurkers aren't just burrowing as soon as they're finished. He has maybe a little bit of opportunity to try to position them. And
I don't even think it was a minute. I think he needed about 15 seconds. Is all he needed because those Vipers came in with the blinding cloud just after the Lurkers died.
True.
The Lurkers finished basically as the engagement was happening. If they're even without range, if they're burrowed, I literally think that was a 15-second timing window for Epic to win the game before he basically couldn't. And he found it.
Isn't StarCraft like crazy? Isn't it crazy that all this crazy stuff can happen and then it still just boils down to it's like, well,
it's just such a game of inches.
He had a perfect setup to crush him, and it's like, and again, if he gets there if even Epic gets there 10 seconds sooner and the Lurkers aren't done, then it's like it's
so much.
Nothing even happens. The game just ends immediately.
Yeah. But, in StarCraft 2, we see it over and over again. At this level, it really is just a game of inches. And it's cool to see how close all 3 of these games have been. This has been a banger of a series so far, and we're not even potentially halfway through it.
Not bad at all. Of course, I guess that's the fun part of it. We talk about it, but we do get to see the full range because it is the best of 7, and there's going to be another best of 7 coming up. That one I think lots of people are looking forward to, very excited about. That's Trigger versus Estrella.
Yeah.
Pinhead versus Binhead. And somebody's just going to tune in and be like, why are you just calling these people Pinhead? We haven't seen them on stream yet. It's actually just...
This is very rude. Why would you do this?
Hellraiser imprisoned my family in the queues, I can't be here for this conversation. Oh, hey, Fear Dragon's back.
Hey.
He's trying not to ring the doorbell.
It's fine.
He's trying to be... he was worried he would make it onto... We don't know. I don't know what the doorbell here sounds like, so I just... Oh, thank you. Wow, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Fear John.
Brought us Snickers.
Got me chocolate. He does care.
He does care. Oh. Meanwhile, in his head, he's like, "You've been really cranky. Have a Snickers." And it's like, oh, man.
No, he just missed the part where right before he left, I was like, "Fear Dragon, I will hit you with the pie half as hard if you get me a candy bar. I am extorting you."
Literal bribe.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this has actually been such a great series so far. I'm actually really, really impressed with what both of them are doing.
Because stuff.
I honestly think if you replace the names and, you said this was two high-level Koreans or 2 high-level European players, I don't think people would be able to tell the difference. Legitimately, no. I think this would just fit right in.
This is the game where they both needed to be masked.
Yes.
Because it has been a good slugfest.
Yeah.
Both, especially because Epic is the one who's more or less, he's the one that has just been kind of doing the same thing, right? He's done the 8 racks, the 3 games. We've seen Cham do a variation of a strategy in the first 2 games and then something completely different in the 3rd game. But if you're Epic at this point, it's like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he does something like that again. But for Cham, where does he go from here? Because he tried to tech up really hard.
Yeah.
Is there a middle ground there where he maybe pumps the brakes and he can defend that? Or
I honestly think if he just didn't build quite as many drones, I think he's even maybe 8 less drones, 5 or 8 less drones, and he just is a little bit more willing to pump a few more units because the front line was really close to buying the time for those lurkers. And I actually do think he might have not burrowed the lurkers as quickly as he could have. Also, morphing the lurkers where he did
he didn't really have time, right? That was the whole thing. It was such a stressful situation for that engage.
But like it wouldn't have taken much for things to go very different there. It's hard to say. Maybe like biling the army to slow it down just a little bit more to get time for those Vipers, for the charge of the energy, to get time for the lurkers to finish morphing. Because 15 seconds might even be wrong. It literally might have been 10.
Even if he has like a Ravager force at some point before just to try and zone away. Not the same. Obviously, he's like blink stalkers in the middle of the map, but you try like conceptually just buy time by like, okay, he's going to step back from the biles, maybe beta stim, force a siege, something like that.
Yeah, even one forced siege could have been the difference there. Like it was just really that close. But great job from Epic getting in there, making that quick adjustment, and really learning from Oliveira, because Oliveira was doing those little adjustments versus Serral, and he was so close to beating Serral at Dallas and creating that rematch of Maru Oliveira in the finals, which would have been so awesome.
It's amazing that one of the highest orders of praise we can give a player is he did so well he almost beat Serral. It's like, yeah, that is.
I mean, of the last 2 Premier tournaments, he took 2 of the 3 maps that Serral lost.
That's incredible.
Like what, 43 maps or something crazy.
The bar is high. That's the crazy thing about it, and it's amazing that. Well, that's we get to see players push each other, right? We don't hope Serral drops to everybody else, right? We want
them to rise to him.
Rise to the occasion. Exactly.
And Oliveira has shown that you can do it. Oh, the grenades of Epic have been really great off of these Reapers. That's another creep tumor snipe going down. He's done a good job with these Reapers in the early game. Nothing like earth-shattering, but solid play with them.
It's one of the things he's always been good at. He's just always been a very active player, and I know, historically playing in show matches, I've had him on for some stuff as well, online cups, all that jazz. But he's shown a lot of range, and for me, I guess it's like this is what he wants to do. This is his build. It is working. I don't again. It looks like we're setting up for him to start him.
Yeah, if he doesn't build the cloak,
it is happening again.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say is I do remember him using a little wider variety, so he seems kind of dialed in here today. He's taking this pretty seriously. You can kind of tell. I feel like we can kind of tell he's locked in.
Yeah, and I mean, against a player that has gone for Mutiling Bane so much, even if it didn't work out both times against it, it's pretty good to go up against that. We do see Cham a little bit of a supply block coming in there once again.
I should probably move, right?
Which is a little bit painful for him, but it's not the end of the world at all. Still, it is going to obviously slow down his droning a teensy bit. But once again, we got Cham with a very fast layer and a very quick set of additional gases. He also loves to do this as well, playing like a really hardcore gas style. And it looks like he will be going for that Mutiling Bane once again as we got that Baneling Nest coming down. And I think we're going to see a very similar setup to games 1 and 2.
Yeah, no complaints there. Hey, Fear Dragon, welcome to the couch. Let me officially welcome you, so we don't have that awkward thing where you're like waiting for the right moment to talk. I'm just gonna have your back here.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back. How was it out there?
It was not as hot as before, but I went and bought a bunch of stuff for things we're gonna be doing for the downtime content yesterday or later today.
I don't think your mic is it on?
Downtime content is that?
One of these is on and the other one is not.
Oh, damn.
This might be a situation where one of these power cables will push the other. Oh, what the?
Okay, we've got the Evo chambers. We're not going to see a repeat of game number 2.
In case you want, we catch up to speed, Fear Dragon. Epic's 8-racked him 4 times. Maybe 4 times. We're waiting to find out if it's 4th time yet. But
no, I think did he already?
What's Cham been doing?
Cham has been doing a dearth of strategies.
He's tried a lot of different things.
Yeah. Oh, transfuse. Nice job right there.
We had Lingbane Muta with some
Okay.
upgrades. We've had Lingbane Muta with no upgrades. That one did not work. The
Any
game
roach
he took.
plays or no?
Huh?
Sorry?
Any roach plays or no?
Yes, 1-1 Roach. There's the additional 8 racks.
There it
Or
is.
the
Let's
additional
go.
3 racks. 1-1 Roach off of...
Well, he tried to go into like Hive and
yes,
Ooh.
Hive,
2-2
Lurkers,
and
Vipers,
for
85
Vipers,
drones.
all at the same time.
Oh, nice target fire on the Banes there with those Hellions. Good wraparound at the tail end, but I would say that was pretty decent for Epic. He trades... Actually, yeah, he kills everything. Oh, that's actually... I think that was a
that's
lot of units. That was
problematic.
really good.
Pretty huge
Yeah.
pickups
Oh
there.
man, and now even getting a couple additional drones. This is a
Even Lings
great
out on the
usage of
map
these.
anymore? I mean, finally some are popping right now, but these Hellions are seriously problematic.
Yeah, this is going to be tough to deal with. We do have the missile turrets coming down this time from Epic. That's obviously going to be a lot better. Even though game 1 we didn't see a lot of SCVs go down to that, it is going to make things a little difficult. Okay, we've got so this is going to be a push that develops a little bit more slowly. He's added the 3 reactors instead of going for that naked, 12 Marines at a time. It's going to be 15 Marines at a time, but hitting a little bit later and with a lot more powerful follow through. And I feel like this is a lot better against the Mutas because instead of having 5 or 8 Marines coming out at a time, you've got so many more, so the counterattacks that are looking to intercept reinforcements are going to have a lot more meat to chew through.
I mean, this attack just followed up from the Hellion damage earlier where the Queens are all on the bottom left. You can see that there's barely any creep start over here. You can already get very close to that hatchery. Now we see the big swarm forward from Cham, though, and this does look like it's going to be enough for Cham to actually just push everything back.
Yeah, I think this is not going to be a game that's decided quickly necessarily, just based on what we've seen so far. The lack of combat shields really hurting Epic there, and that's happened a couple of times. His combat shields has been late multiple times, but this game is far from over, even after a pretty good fight there from Cham, because Epic is he's just going to be pumping so many units so quickly.
As the story of this is literally the story of this best of 7. Cham, once Epic gets rolling across the map with the Marines, the biggest thing that Cham has done for himself, though, he's been very on point throughout the series with the Mutalisk Harass, pulling Epic back across the map, buying time, and then. I mean, this. When we talk about position-wise, he has 2-2 coming in, so it's a little bit more of a traditional upgrade dynamic for TVZ. So assuming that he can continue to play ball, there's a lot to work with. But that supply is it's very close. The creep is not too far out from where that base he's about to siege is. So how much can he realistically expect to get away with here?
I think Cham might have to give up this base. This is such a strong position. We are going to see. I mean, we are going to see a scenario where 2-2 is not yet done for the Terran, but yeah, it looks like Cham will give up this base, recognizing, no, without creep, I can't really fight this. This is a great setup from Epic. And now the reinforcements getting across the map, oh, if they do, that is going to be big. But we're going to see Cham pulling the trigger just before they show up. However, it's not really before they show up. That is units coming in from the bottom. Oh, Banelings did come in from an unexpected angle right there. Good splits from Epic, but he has to split onto Creep, which is always a nightmare. Still, so many Marines survive on the top side, and despite a good counterattack on the other side, this goes very well, I would say, for Epic. And now his 2-2 is done, he might be able to just stim forward and go for it.
I mean, there are more Banelings being made here for Cham, so he can just somehow buy a little bit of time. Do you think if Cham lost a base, he could still just recover from that?
I mean, he did lose a base. He lost that top north side. That's
Yeah.
oh, you mean just lost the base and didn't fight at all?
Yeah.
It's like, I think for
It's tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think because the Banelings get the SCVs, it's not the end of the world for the Terran. But if you overextend while that happens, that's when like everything falls apart very quickly. So I think at the very least, Epic has realized he's a little bit more vulnerable than he would otherwise be. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the base situation here, but I'm just gonna say that he's got a good solid spot to go for a surround before the creep dissipates. He's gonna knock that third again.
Oh.
A lot of Banelings being used for that as well. Is he going to regret that? As there are a lot of these Banelings used on the Marines on the right-hand side, but it is simply not enough.
Tough.
3-1.
Epic is in. Well, if he wasn't warmed up before, he obviously is now.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
He's fighting upgraded Zerglings and Banelings as opposed to unupgraded, and he is still obliterating them. What is this thing? He's up 3-1.
3-1
in a best of 7.
Yeah.
This
3-1
is
in a
not
best
like
of
a
7.
normal tournament where it's best of 5 for the semis. This is
Yeah.
More prestigious than DreamHack because we have best of 7 semis.
That's pretty. That's. I mean,
Not even DreamHack does that.
if your metric is length of series, you are literally correct.
I mean, in theory, you could say that the finals are more prestigious than a GSL with a best of 9.
Maybe.
If that's your metric
you could say that.
The winner of this could have a better title or a better run of the title for GOAT than, say, a Maru or a Rogue or a Cyril.
Potentially.
They say
you
higher,
could say that.
Yeah.
You
could say that.
There are some that say that larger volumes, lead to it's more valuable when you have that volume of data and knowing in that best of 9 well.
Statistically significant, you'd say.
Yeah, that's why Cyril always wins them 4-0 because he doesn't want to give that many games out. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's about he's like you don't even deserve to see 7 games of me. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Would it be more meaningful if Cyril won 4-3? More statistically significant.
No.
Or 5-0.
5-0. True.
I would look. That is. I mean, does Cyril have a 5-0 on anyone? Because now I'm like, I guess I do want to see that.
Must be a 5-0.
I mean, he will.
What tournament has he best of 9 5-0'd somebody?
He will after
I
EWC.
think he's played a show match before. That's
okay. Is that what he's? So then he'll just do it there.
Maybe
he'll just do that when he wins again. That sounds great to me.
It looks so good.
Well, this
deserves its own thing.
Yeah,
this deserves its own thing for sure.
Yeah. Well,
maybe you can be the reveal at the end of the series.
We're either going to be done after this game and then we'll figure it out, or we're going to have 4 more games. So it's tomato.
I can't wait for the stream to actually see Chicken Man.
It looks so good. It's actually mind blowing. Chicken Man is just so full of crazy talent.
Yeah.
Anyone who wasn't watching the karaoke last night, you're going to want to take a look at that and honestly sign this man to a contract because I think producers are going to be they should be lining up for it at his door.
When they drop the you get all the PC attachments for it. He's the guy, your microphone guy when you're doing your Fortnite festival, okay?
Yeah. 100%. Man, Epic he's been cooking. He's been cooking, especially in that last game. It felt like I do think Cham, after he lost the fifth base, to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. If instead of going for the engagement, if he goes for the pickoff on that huge wave of reinforcements with basically his whole army, then he can kind of maroon the rest of the army there. Maybe takes a really cost-efficient trade because, like you said, he wasn't behind in upgrades at that point. 2-2 hadn't kicked in yet. He even had +1 on the mutas, so at least they're contributing a little bit more to the fight. But obviously the 1-1 on Lingbane is much more impactful. Regardless, what I'm getting at is if he had instead picked off those reinforcements the way he'd been doing in games 1 and 2, we might see a completely different game that honestly, even now, could have still been going.
Yeah, because obviously, there is still some transition potential. We saw even in that game, there is 3-3 and stuff that starts up there for Epic, but that is still a very committed pressure. You need to get something done with it, and that's kind of why I'm wondering, you guys are talking about, because I was busy shopping and everything, I didn't get to see the first couple of games, but Cham obviously has been able to take one of these games, and you keep saying that if Epic keeps doing this build, is the kind of solution for Cham just find some way to just survive to the later stages and get up to the Hive Tech and everything that you talked about he tried to go for one time?
I don't think you can do that if you're playing the Mutiling Bane. I think you have to there's just it's too expensive of a composition to not basically fight into your opponent and take the big head-to-head bare knuckle box style fight. But if he plays for that 1-1 Roach or he goes just Lingbane Hydra into Hive or something like that, I think he can absolutely deal with that. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the the series, Cham is a guy who likes to play what he likes. I don't think we're going to see that. But on Ghost River, he might have to do something a little bit creative because if you don't, I don't know, man. This is a map that you do not want to go split map on against Aaron.
Yeah, it's like he's the only thing we really haven't seen him try is I mean early aggressive builds ZVT, 30% hit chance on that maybe at best. You're not really cheesing Terrans out at this level in this matchup unless you're a Korean with some insane Nidus strategy that we just haven't seen. So
that layer timing.
We have like
Oh, he's
like
too
maybe
basic.
like heavy Ravager,
That
like
Roach
lair
one.
play. I'd like to see him try some kind of lair play like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's the only thing we really haven't seen. The Ling Bane, his control has just been disgusting. So
Well, this is going to be real interesting right now.
This is like the map that I like. I feel like if there was a map in the map pool right now that I see the most all-ins on, it has to be
Oh,
Ghost River.
it's from
So,
the Zerg perspective. I
yeah.
think you have to. Oh, that's a big shot from the Hellions, but a great drone split from Cham.
Nice scout,
He's already
too.
sniped down one of these Hellions. That lineup. Oh, only gets one additional drone. That maybe two. I don't know if he got one before that, but either way, that looked like it was going to be a disaster, but only one Hellion. So
Yeah, but I mean, now Epic should have an idea of what's going on, right? You see the Roach Warren down at that timing. He
he starts
saw
up a
that there was
Marauder.
a third and everything, so.
But he did still open up with a quick Viking instead of the Banshees. I actually think the Viking might be maybe better here potentially because it's going to go transition into the barracks faster, and also it's Dropper Lords. This is a Queen drop play, and he's going to see this.
all right.
Well, he
then.
sees the Overlord speed too. Yeah, this has got to be. This can basically only really be one thing, and I think you need like 3 bunkers right now as Epic.
Throwing up 1 right now, but yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. I'd love to see more. Surely he's got to know that this is coming, right? Like, what else could it be at this point?
Yeah, I don't think it can be really anything else. This is interesting. We've got Ling speed starting up and more drones. So is this just going to be a pressure? This is what I was talking about, by the way. If you control that Viking, you can kind of just kite down and really slow down this push. Oh my God, look at that.
Look at that.
Look at the drop micro. That is so cute.
It's actually so cool, too, that there's both of the drop overlords there because Epic doesn't even know which one the queens are actually in initially.
And he was cycling them too to get the queens a
Yeah.
little bit further forward. Siege tank in a great position there in the back, but it still might be in range of Biles. We do have 2 more bunkers coming down, so I really like that from Epic. This is going to be tough to hold.
And he's going to send the queens around to drop by themselves while the Ravagers and Roaches kind of try and poke in at the front. This is an interesting decision, but I guess it kind of pairs with the idea that he's also trying to transition behind this.
I don't like this one bit, though, because
Yeah.
now he's trapped. He was underestimating the stim timing, I think. He's going to lose all these queens, and they're really not going to get a ton of value. He does draw the army out of position, and that will be a dead tank in the backfield, but
He did
Cham
get
needed
the
more.
creep tumor down in his main base, though, so there you go. That's all I got. That's all I got. It is there.
Yeah,
it is there.
psychological
He
da-
can't
Look-
land that command center back in his main.
he's going to be forced to take his third base now.
He has no
Mind
other
games.
options. Cham has boxed him in.
Calculated.
Oh, man. Cham is really far behind now. This is going to be nasty. We will actually see those 2 barracks. Okay, never mind. There's the scan. One of them might be delayed by a tiny bit by the creep. Yeah, okay. He just restarts it like instantly.
Here's a question for you, Nate. Can you construct an add-on on a building if there's creep blocking it?
No, it'll give you the full. It'll give you the full thing where it'll be like, oh, do you want to lift off and move somewhere else? Kind of a deal.
Oh, okay. So even though if there's like normally space and stuff, I
Yeah.
see.
If the space is there, but it's blocked by
yeah.
creep, it's blocked by creep.
It doesn't automatically lift you, though, right? Like, it just tells you the add-on can't be built. Because if it
No,
automatically
I feel
lifted
like
you,
it
that would be
depends-
so
it
bad.
depends on
Because then
how
the creep
tilted
It would,
Like,
you couldn't re-land it, exactly.
The problem is I've played you play enough of the game. Like I always imagine it the worst way. I'm like, yes, it definitely. I have no idea, but I would say yes,
Yeah.
it definitely lifts off because it has to. It has to, right? Because that's the worst thing that could happen.
What's the worst thing that could happen? It's that.
It's probably just that.
Oh, man. The one thing Cham has going for him is that his upgrades are on par with his opponent. But, I mean, the worker count was so much lower than you want it to be. He did transition out of this pretty quickly, and he took the third base. But it feels like Epic is going to have a lot of opportunity to get in here and find some kill timings, find some win conditions.
I'll tell you how I feel like if we were watching Dark right now, because I feel like Dark and Cham have a lot of similarities in
Yeah.
the way that they approach the game. I'll tell you how I see Dark actually makes a comeback from this kind of situation. Is that he has that infestation pit finishing up. He gets like 1 or 2 infestors and somehow gets the magical fungals just turn
the fungal
game around
bile.
and everything. So I feel like if you're in this situation, you are looking for some kind of play you can make, and maybe that would be it. But it's so tough. How do you play like Dark?
How do you? Yeah, exactly. How do you play like Dark? Just play like Dark, idiot. Yeah, no, It's so hard. Like trying to analyze his games, even with full information, is just like, how do you do the things you do? And there's a reason that he is a top 10 greatest player of all time. Absolutely. Anyone with a brain. Okay. That was a little mean, but
he didn't say top 10 of what, right? I mean, so there you go.
But we do have Epic already just with a drop that's really just a pressure play. He's found 7 drones. He's picked off a queen here, picked off a Ravager earlier. I mean, this is all systems go for Epic, and he is going to play his 5th 8 racks in a row.
Yeah. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? He's the worst thing that really happened in this series was basically that first game with the overextension and more or less getting pulled back on the counterattacks. But obviously, this composition doesn't really enable for that kind of gameplay. Neither does this map. So tanks are all sieged and a nice little choke point. There is a lot of Ravager Link Bane that's going to try and come in on an arc around this. Tanks left at the front. Biles are going to be able to knock those down. There's still a little bit of Marine Marauder on the outside, however, and I do not see any more Banelings. There's 3 finishing behind the Ravagers.
I mean, I would say Cham is holding
that
at
went
this point.
That went as well for Cham as you could ever hope. That was an insanely good fight for him.
Especially since I really thought that with that setup where Epic had pushed into at that ramp, there's 2 different ramps that he could have actually come in from on other sides. Cham filtered everything in through that same ramp that Epic is trying to push in through. And once again, Epic is trying to push in over here. There aren't a lot of Banelings or Lings or anything to buffer the front, but the Roaches are doing a good enough job. Cham is on the retreat, but he is actually also very close with his own upgrades. +1 melee is about to finish. 2/2, I believe, or +2 Carapace at least is on the way.
Yeah, it's 1/1/2.
So he will at least have the Carapace upgrade to compete with the +2/+2 that's finishing up here for Epic.
Yeah, and all of that fight was basically fought on upgrade parity, at least in terms of the Roach Ravager versus the Bio. And with no tanks here, I mean, it's not such a hot fight for Epic. Obviously, there's a ton of medevacs, so the sustain is insane.
Vipers?
That's a nice parasitic bomb right in the dead center of those medevacs, and he actually does get a kill.
That is actually an absurd number of medevacs.
It's a lot.
I was going to say, that the supply maybe felt a little bit deceiving because he's like, I've got so much supply, you're always doing that thing, I just keep pushing. And it's like, well, a lot of the supply is in the support units at this point. That being said, if he gets the Bio Ball on top of the Roach Ravager with enough, if the Banelings are gone, then it's not really going to be that easy. Adrenal finished up for the Lings, so pretty huge power spike there if he ends up being able to sustain some of that fight. And there's that little Baneling counterattack that we're seeing run around the other side. Looks like it.
Yeah, not a lot of SCVs at that location since that base isn't finished up. And it doesn't seem like Ep is actually responding to this, so gonna end up losing quite a few SCVs there. Yeah,
there are Liberators added on. We're going to need to see Abducts to pull those away, as well as a couple Blinding Clouds, perhaps, maybe on the Bio.
It's just like the one queen whittling away at the Liberators that are abducted.
I was going to say, yeah, he should immediately re-siege the Liberators, at least bait the Biles onto them. And then the Bio runs up and actually cleans up those Ravagers.
Yeah, there's just too much.
There you go.
Damn. Epic cooked today. Oof.
Honestly, it's so refreshing and happy for me to see Epic in good form because I feel like he is one of those players that when he is popping, he really can pop off. And there are definitely points in time where I feel like Epic is not in the greatest form. It's really, really fun to see Epic when he's just actually like hitting it.
Yeah, and Cham played really well today. So this was not like Cham rolled over and died and Epic just like claimed his victory. No. That was a hard-fought games. I would say games 1, 2, and 3 were all extremely hard-fought, and even game 4 was. I mean, I think that's where Cham maybe started to lose the sauce a little bit. Like it felt like he was maybe a little bit frustrated after that game 3 loss. But even then, it's not like Cham played poorly. He just didn't play as brilliantly as he did in the first 3 games. But yeah, Epic really. He really cooked today, and I'm excited to see what he does in the finals.
Completely unrelated to the outcome of that match. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Hell happy Father's Day.
For everybody out there trying to shepherd our generations to a better world, God bless you. Seriously. But how about that though? Great first series to start off. I think even though it was the 4-1, we saw Cham try a lot of different things, and we did get to see Epic make adjustments because at least in that first map, we saw him push things a little bit too hard, right? Kind of overextended a bit, kind of dialed it back, got a little bit more patient, and then once he stopped overextending, then it just felt like there wasn't much Cham could do. So I have to agree with you, Ravi, that the thing that stood out for me is just Epic just same flow for every single game. Just didn't deviate from the strategy at all. Just focused on execution and very, very clean. But if we're gonna say one last compliment for Cham, he had a lot of really crazy fights that he was still somehow able to win with no upgrades. Like that no upgrade game, that still went like 8 minutes longer than it should have. He should never have made it to 3-3 versus upgraded Zerglings.
Not a chance.
Like, that's what happened.
That's amazing. That's actually incredible.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, just really great series from both players, and the scoreline does not represent how like truly close it was, because it could have very easily been 3-0 Cham after the first 3
Also,
games.
I just want to say, like, I didn't get to see the full series, so I don't feel like I got to see the full justice done for Cham since I wasn't here for the earlier part. But Cham just popped off also in the groups or like in the round robin.
Yeah.
I feel like he had a really good showing this overall event. So I'm happy for Cham getting to showcase a bit of that and making the semis. But also just Epic is in the finals. That's so sad.
Yeah.
And to hype him up a little bit further, the big dub for him yesterday when he crushed Estrella, and we were like, okay, I guess we were kind of getting some feelings. Oh, Epic is showing up. He's looking good. Coming into this matchup, I'm feeling like, okay, whoever he's facing in that final, he's going to be able to give a run for money. But since it will be a best of 9, can he 8 racks 9 times in a row steadfast? Will he?
Do you need to 8 racks to pro?
Not can he? Will he?
Yeah.
Will he? Because now I'm nervous. Now it's like one of those WCS finals of Massa where he's like telling us in the lobby before the game starts. He's like, I'm gonna 2 racks every game. I'm proxying every game. He said that to the casters and the opponent.
And the opponent,
He told that to
Neeb
Neeb
did
and
not
Scarlet.
believe him until
He told that to Neeb
Yeah.
and Scarlet, and then he proxied them every single game of both matches. It was
was great,
disgusting.
actually.
Masa is one of my favorite